What if the smartest children in the world aren't born different? They're trained differently from the first day they wake up. In Japan, intelligence doesn't start at school. It starts at home. Inside routines that look simple, but are carefully structured. The child wakes up at a similar time, eats at a similar time, follows a predictable flow. And this isn't random. Science shows that predictable routines reduce cortisol, the stress hormone that blocks learning. Less chaos outside, more clarity inside. While many kids grow up in constant stimulation, screens, noise, interruptions, Japanese children grow up in rhythm, and that rhythm does something powerful. It stabilizes attention, because the brain learns better when it knows what's coming next. But here's the shift most people miss. Parents aren't trying to make the child smart. They're building focus, patience, and emotional stability. And neuroscience is clear. Attention is the foundation of intelligence. Without focus, nothing sticks. So instead of pressure, they create consistency. And consistency, over time, rewires the brain. And once that happens, the child doesn't just learn faster, they start thinking differently. At first glance, Japanese kids look calm, almost too calm. But that calm isn't natural. It's trained, not through punishment, but through daily repetition. From a very young age, children organize their own things, clean small spaces, follow simple routines. And this isn't about behavior, it's about brain structure. Studies show that organizing physical space improves executive function, the part of the brain responsible for decision-making and focus. In simple terms, when a child organizes their room, they're organizing their mind. Now compare this to what happens in most homes. Parents fix everything quickly, solve problems, step in too early. In Japan, they don't. They allow small struggles, not enough to overwhelm, but enough to activate thinking. This is called desirable difficulty in cognitive science. The brain grows when it has to solve, not when it is rescued. And over time, something changes. The child stops avoiding challenges and starts engaging with them. That's where intelligence shifts, not from information, but from how the brain handles difficulty. And what comes next goes even deeper. Most parents teach by talking, correcting, explaining everything. But in Japan, something very different happens. Children learn by watching. They observe adults, older students, teachers, and absorb behavior before being told what to do. And neuroscience shows something powerful. Observational learning activates deeper brain regions than passive listening. Because instead of reacting, the child processes. They pause, analyze, detect patterns. This is why classrooms feel quieter. Not because children are forced, but because they are focused. Now think about this. A child who observes before acting starts predicting outcomes, avoiding mistakes, making better decisions faster, and over time, that becomes automatic. Because intelligence is not just knowing, it's seeing patterns before others do. And this is where the brain starts sharpening, silently. Most parents avoid repetition. They think kids will get bored, lose interest, stop learning. But in Japan, repetition is designed, not forced. Writing, reading, solving simple tasks, again and again. And here's the science. Repetition strengthens neural pathways. The more something is repeated, the faster and more efficient the brain becomes. It's called myelination. The brain literally builds faster connections. Now compare this. A child constantly switching tasks versus a child strengthening the same skill daily. One becomes distracted, the other becomes precise, and something unexpected happens. When basics become automatic, the brain is free to think deeper. That's why high performers don't avoid repetition. They master it. And this is where focus becomes natural, not forced. In Japan, learning is not just taught. It's built into the environment, clean spaces, minimal distractions, organized materials. And this is not about aesthetics. It directly affects brain function. Studies show clutter increases cognitive load. Too much visual input Too many decisions. But structured environments reduce mental fatigue, less noise outside, more focus inside. And here's what's powerful. Children don't even notice this happening. They grow inside a system that supports concentration automatically. Shoes aligned, desks clean, objects in place, small habits, repeated daily. But these habits train something deeper: consistency, awareness, control. And over time, the child's mind mirrors the environment: clear, organized, focused. And this is where high-level thinking begins. Most people think intelligence is logic, memory, problem-solving, but they ignore the foundation: emotional control, because a distracted or emotional mind cannot focus. And without focus, learning collapses. In Japan, children are trained to face frustration calmly, not avoid it, not escape it, but stay with it. When something is hard, they don't quit immediately. They try again, breathe, adjust. And this builds something powerful: tolerance to discomfort. Science shows resilience increases cognitive performance because the brain stays engaged longer. Now compare this. One child avoids difficulty, another stays with it. Over time, one gives up quickly, the other develops deep thinking, because the brain grows under challenge, not comfort. At some point, everything shifts. The system stops guiding, and the child starts guiding themselves. In Japan, children are expected to act, not be reminded constantly. Homework is not chased. Responsibilities are assumed. And this creates ownership. The child stops asking, "Do I have to?" and starts thinking, "This is what I do." Psychology calls this intrinsic motivation. When behavior comes from inside, it becomes consistent, and consistency builds discipline. Not forced, but chosen. Now imagine this long term. A child who doesn't need pressure, who moves automatically, who follows through. That's where intelligence accelerates, because action becomes identity. Most children learn things separately. Math is math. Reading is reading. Life is something else. But in Japan, children are trained to connect everything, to see patterns, relationships, cause and effect. And this changes how the brain works, because intelligence is not memorizing. It's connecting information. The child starts seeing how habits affect results, how effort compounds over time, how small actions lead to big outcomes. And suddenly, they stop reacting and start predicting. This is high-level thinking, because now the brain is not just storing, it's organizing. And organized thinking creates speed, clarity, precision. At this stage, the child is not trying to be smart. They become someone who learns. And this changes everything, because when intelligence becomes identity, it no longer requires effort to maintain. The child naturally reads, focuses, improves, not because they are forced, but because it's who they are. And here's the truth. You cannot force identity. You build it through repeated behavior, day after day, small habits, same structure, until it becomes automatic. Now imagine growing up like this, every day reinforcing focus, discipline, curiosity. There is no alternative outcome, only growth. There is no magic trick, no single method, no shortcut. It's the system, structure, repetition, environment, emotional control, ownership, all working together. And science supports this. Long-term consistency beats short bursts of effort, because the brain adapts to patterns, not motivation. Now compare this. Most people try to fix results, but this system builds the process. And when the process is correct, the result becomes inevitable. A focused mind, a disciplined brain, a person who thinks faster, deeper, better. And that's what creates high intelligence. Not luck, not talent, but design. Now tell me this. Which part surprised you the most? Discipline, repetition, or emotional control? Comment right now. High IQ. Just type it. It's like a mental trigger. And who knows? Maybe your future child already starts thinking differently. And if you want to keep learning how to build a powerful mind, subscribe now, because what you just saw can completely change how intelligence is created.